The Department of Homeland Security is barring Harvard University from enrolling foreign students. Harvard data shows nearly 6,800 international students, or just over a quarter of the student population, were enrolled during the 2024-2025 academic year. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told Fox News Thursday afternoon she sent a letter to the privately funded universities saying these students must either transfer or lose their legal status in the U.S.
They will no longer be allowed to participate in this student exchange visitor program, and that's up to 27% of their enrolled students. This should be a warning to every other university to get your act together. Get your act together, because we are coming to make sure that these programs, that you are facilitating an environment where students can learn, where they're safe.
Secretary Noem also accused the school of, quote, fostering violence, anti-Semitism, and coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party on its campus. The Trump administration has so far revoked hundreds of millions of dollars in federal grants to Harvard over claims it has not addressed these issues. For more, let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. She's a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles. So, Jessica, is there any legal precedent for this?
So I can't think of another situation where an administration took an action that is this aggressive against an institution of higher learning. In terms of precedent, maybe we can think of the legal claims here and what Harvard would argue. I think Harvard would argue, essentially, you can't do this way, meaning that's actually something called the Administrative Procedures Act. Essentially, you didn't give us enough notice, you didn't follow the proper procedures, you didn't give us time to contest. And I think that would be related to another potential claim, which is they would say this violates our due process rights. Again, you needed to give us some sort of warning, some sort of opportunity, that more than what we already had, to come to a resolution. And then, and maybe even most importantly, I think there would be some First Amendment questions as to whether or not the government is essentially pulling levers, picking winners and losers based on the speech of a private institution of Harvard.
Secretary Noem said the action against Harvard will serve as a warning to other universities. Harvard said this is unlawful. They call it retaliatory. They say they're working to provide guidance to their community. How do you see this proceeding in the courts?
So I think it will be very similar to when the Trump administration said we're going to stop federal funds to Harvard, in the sense of Harvard said that's unlawful. Harvard is here saying that's unlawful. I think my guess is that they are working on the briefs right now, that they will be filed very quickly. They will go to a federal judge and say, this action needs to be stopped, at least temporarily, that they will, this is a phrase that's now familiar, that they will ask for a temporary restraining order, a TRO. And I think that Harvard has, let's say, live arguments here. They have non-frivolous arguments that, at the very least, we should pause this executive action while we look at the merits of the claim. And so I think there's a chance that pretty quickly we could have a judge say to the administration, you actually can't revoke this certification, or not right now. It doesn't mean not ever. It means I think there's a good chance that this particular executive action is at least in the short term paused.
And Jessica, in a rare split decision Thursday, the Supreme Court blocked public funding for what could have been the nation's first taxpayer-funded religious charter school. The ruling was 4-4, so it essentially upheld a lower court ruling. We don't know how the justices voted. We know Justice Amy Coney Barrett recused herself. Did they give a reasoning for their decision? How significant is this?
So, I mean, it's significant in the sense that we now know that there are 4 members of the court, and we can kind of guess who the 4 are. We probably know at least 3, the liberal justices, who are uncomfortable with the idea of there being a religious charter school. And we know that there are 4 who are comfortable with that, at least 4 of the 6 conservatives. As you said, Justice Barrett recused herself. She's good friends with one of the attorneys in this case. And so she didn't give a reason for the recusal, but we can assume that that's it. In terms of what this means going forward, as you said, it means the lower court decision stands. The lower court indicated that you could not have a religious charter school. But of course, this question could come back up because a different group in a different state could try and create a religious charter school. And at that point, if no justice recuses, this case could go back up, and I don't think we'd have another even split.
Jessica Levinson, thank you.